Modified internal rate of return, in short, MIRR. Hi guys, let's start our discussion about a new topic, that is modified IRR. In short, we also call it as MIRR. Now, what exactly is MIRR all about, sir? In order to understand MIRR, first we need to discuss about a small assumption that we take in IRR calculation, internal rate of return calculation. While calculating IRR, we assume that intermediate cash flows are reinvested at the IRR. Sir, what? Please listen to me very carefully, ma. The intermediate cash flows in the sense, for example, there is a project that has the following cash flows. For example, T0, you made some investment. T1 you get inflow, T2 you get inflow, T3 you get inflow, T4 you get inflow. Okay, for example, this is the period of a cash flows that are given or a project that is given. We assume that, for example, you invested $10,000 and at year one ending, you got cash flows of, let's say, $3,000 of inflow, right? While calculating IRR, we assume that this $3,000 are reinvested back into the project at the given IRR of the project. Okay, for example, after calculating the IRR, we got IRR is equal to, let's say, 12%. Now I am assuming that this 3000 is reinvested at the rate of 12%. In another language, this 3000 is going to give me 12% return, and 3000 plus 12%, that should be around 3360, I guess. 3000 plus 12%, yeah, 3360. So at the end of year 2 it will become 3360, and again on this I'll get 12% for the third year and again 12% for the fourth year. I am assuming that this intermediate cash flow is reinvested at the IRR. Okay, that is an inherent assumption while calculating the IRR of a project. Now there is a small problem with that, ma. The problem is it is over, what do you call it, positive in nature, or else I can say, um, it's expecting too much out of the project. Rather than taking a positive assumption, or rather than taking a favorable assumption that the project intermediate cash flows will give me IRR returns, it would be much more prudent if the company assumes that the intermediate cash flows will only give us cost of capital, or I can say weighted average cost of capital. Instead of assuming the project will give us IRR, it will be more prudent, or it will be more appropriate if we assume the intermediate cash flows will give us only a WACC return, weighted average cost of capital, as the return. So that is the difference between MIRR and IRR. MIRR assumes, okay, intermediate cash flows to be reinvested at WACC, weighted average cost of capital, instead of IRR. Okay, this is the biggest difference, my dear friends. Okay, this is the only difference, to be very honest, between IRR and MIRR. And on top of that, there is one small discussion related to MIRR. Sir, why is MIRR required? Okay, to understand that, let me just show you a small, what do you call it, a small graph maybe. Okay, sir, what is IRR? IRR is the point where our NPV becomes zero, isn't it? IRR is the point where our NPV becomes zero, or the cost or the discounting rate where NPV becomes zero. Okay, in another language, present value of outflows should be equal to present value of inflows, correct? Okay, now assume a project that has an initial outlay of $10,000, and subsequently it gave me $5,000 in first year. Second year it gave me $3,000. Third year, there was an additional outlay required, maybe like repairs and maintenance or contract renewal or something like that. There is an additional $2,000 to be paid, and then after that, I'll get $5,000 in the third year. I mean, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth year, I'll get another $3,000. So, yeah, this is my cash flows that are given. Assume these are the cash flows given. So, technically, what is happening is there is a negative cash flow. So if I start a graph, if I start plotting it on a graph, and if I take on the y-axis cash flows, and if I take on the x-axis my period or duration or time, whatever you want to call it, so technically the graph starts at a negative point minus 10,000, isn't it? Clear or not? Technically my graph starts below the x-axis because this is 0. So it is minus 10,000, and after that slowly what will happen, I'll get 5,000 cash flows at the end of the first year. So my net cash flows will be minus 5,000, correct? From minus 10,000 to minus 5,000, and similarly again I'll get additional 3,000. Okay, let me change this a little bit. Let's put 5,000 here, and let's put 2,000 minus here. So now first year ending, I have minus 5,000, and again I got 3,000 in the second year. That brings my cash flows to, assuming these are present value of cash flows and not actual cash flows, because time value also has to be considered. So this will be minus 2,000, right? 10,000 minus 10,000 plus 5,000 minus 5, minus 5 plus 3 minus 2. So my cash flows, net cash flows are now minus 2,000, and again plus 5,000 makes it plus 3,000. So I'll go to plus 3,000. Okay, now let's make it minus 4,000. Now again there is a 4,000 reinvestment. That means my curve will go back to minus 1,000. Are you able to understand this? I'm talking about cumulative cash flows. So if I draw my cash flows as a curve, I'm getting NPV 0 2 times here. Once here also I am getting NPV equal to 0. Here also I am getting NPV equal to 0. Sir, why are we getting NPV equal to 0 2 times? Because there are intermediate cash outflows apart from the initial investment. This is one problem with IRR. When there are subsequent cash outflows, IRR does not give you an accurate answer. Actually, to be very honest, sometimes we get multiple IRRs. We get 2-3 IRRs also. Absolutely possible. Now you can see here, once it is touching x-axis and again it is touching x-axis. That means there are 2 points where your net present value is equal to 0. That means there should be 2 IRRs, internal rate of returns. So which one should I consider for project evaluation? That is the problem with IRR. To resolve this problem, we will take the MIRR. What do we take? We take the MIRR. Sir, how do we calculate the MIRR, sir? First, I'll teach you without using any formula. Then I'll show you with using the formula. Sir, if we can solve it without formula, then what is the point of learning the formula? Without formula, if it takes 5 minutes for you to calculate, using a formula, it will take you 1 minute, ma. Okay, so that is the major difference. As simple as that. If you don't use the formula, you need to do the entire procedure. After doing the entire procedure, we get a formula. Okay, so how do we calculate MIRR? Calculation of MIRR, sir. How do we exactly calculate MIRR, sir? It's very simple now. Very simple. First step is calculate present value of all cash outflows. Okay, in bracket investment related, not return related outflows. Sir, what is the difference between investment related outflows and return related outflows? I'll tell you in a simple language, ma. I invested in a project. First year there was a negative cash flow. Sir, why, sir? Because our suppliers demanded advance or a security deposit or something like that. Now, this negative cash flow is not an investment for you. It is a part of your regular operating activities. Okay. Similarly, at the end of the project, last year, if suppose project ends on the 5th year, in the 6th year, you will pay taxes related to the 5th year. Those taxes are an outflow. Yes or no? Those taxes are definitely an outflow, but that is not an investment related outflow. That is just an operating outflow. Correct? So calculate the PV of cash investment outflows. Okay. Then second one, calculate very carefully FV of all inflows, cash inflows, or in another language we can say returns. Sir, please be very careful, ma. Bring all the investments to the present value, assuming that all investments are made on the day one. Okay, bringing all investments to the present value so that we'll have one point, one time frame. Okay, and then take all the cash inflows to the future value. So all outflows are on the day one, all inflows are on the last date of the project. Sir, why do we need to do that? Because it makes your life very simple. Now comes the question, sir, which rate should be used for discounting and calculating the future value? So as we have discussed, we have to use the assumption. MIRR assumes that all the intermediate cash flows are reinvested at weighted average cost of capital or the cost of capital of the company. So these intermediate cash inflows are assumed to be reinvested using the WACC. If WACC is not given, take the cost of capital of the company. And the last and final step for identifying the MIRR is basically very simple, that is identify the discounting rate where the present value of investments will be equal to present value of future value of cash flows. Present value of future value of cash flows. Sir, now what is this? So you have already pushed all the intermediate cash flows to the end of the last year. So from there, you need to discount it back to the present value. So whatever rate you are using, that rate will be called as MIRR, right? Chalo, let's see our previous question with numbers so that you will get a picture here. So MIRR calculation. So first, what do we need? We need the cash flows, net cash flows. I am copying from the previous calculation, NPV calculation. So I got the net cash flows here. Okay. And now what do I need to do? I need to take all the cash inflows, all these cash inflows to what? To their future value. Sir, why should I take them to the future value? In simple language, what was the assumption? That all the intermediate cash flows are reinvested using the WACC, correct? So here in this question, WACC is 12%. That means this 90 is reinvested at 12%, 12%, 12%, 12%. So how many years? 4 years. So 90 into 1 plus 12% whole power 4. Okay, the reinvestment is the key here. Clear? Chalo. Now what I'll do is I'll calculate the future value of returns or cash inflows. How do I do that? Raised to the power of 1 plus R, 0.12 whole power how many years? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 years. Multiplied by, okay, so this will be 1125 into 1 plus R whole cube. Similarly here it will be whole square, here it will be whole power 1 only for 1 year, and here it will be the same cash flow. So I can just raise to the power of 0. Raise to the power of 0 is multiplying by 1 basically. Okay, so what did we get? We get the future value of the cash flows from the project. Now what do we need? We need to calculate the total future value of cash inflows will be how much? Sum of all this. How much is that? 8,318. Next one, PV of cash outflows in bracket investments is how much? How much are we investing? We are investing 3570. We are investing 3570. We are getting 8,318 at the end of the 5th year. So what do I need to do? I need to calculate a discounting rate which will equate, see, 8,318 should be equal to what? This is the future value. So 3570 3570 into 1 plus r whole power 5 should be equal to 8318. That implies 1 plus r whole power 5 is equal to 8318 by 3570. That implies r equal to 8318 divided by 3570 whole power 1 by 5 minus 1. Correct? Okay, we can't calculate that using a calc because whole power 1 by 5 is not possible in the normal calculator. So let's see that in Excel. So MIRR will be equal to how much? 8,318 by 3,570 whole power 1 by 5 minus 1. So that is in percentages 18.43%. So what are the steps that are involved? First, assume all intermediate cash flows to be reinvested using the WACC of the company. So you get future value of all cash inflows, you get the present value of all cash outflows. So the discounting rate that is used to bring the future value of cash outflows to the present value of cash inflows, NPV equal to 0, that is called as MIRR. Now sir, using the formula, see the formula for MIRR is a small change. Very important for you to identify the change is PV of returns phase. See, in manual calculation, what I did, I pushed all the cash inflows, all the returns to the last period and then discounted that. If you are using the formula, what you will do is directly take the present value. Sir, then will that be wrong? No. To compensate for that, in the formula, what we'll do is we'll multiply by 1 plus KE. Okay, so it's the same thing, it doesn't really matter. If you directly take present value, you multiply by 1 plus KE. Okay, so PV of returns phase, present value of all the cash inflows by present value of cash outflows whole power 1 by n into 1 plus KE minus 1. Okay, it's the same thing what we did here. Here what I did is, the small difference is that here I took future value of cash inflows, here it is present value of cash inflows. So because of taking this present value here, we are multiplying by 1 plus KE. Correct? See, present value into 1 plus r is future value only now. So that is why you are getting this extra value here. Minus 1 is minus 1. There is no change in that part. Okay. Chalo, let's see using the formula. MIRR using the formula. Okay. So for that, what do we need? We need the present value of all cash flows. So let's just go to NPV calculation and discounted cash flows I'll take directly. I'll take directly the discounted cash flows. So, okay. So, PV of cash inflows will be how much? Sum of this 5, and PV of cash outflows will be how much? 3570. So, MIRR will be what? Is equal to PV of cash inflows by PV of cash outflows raised to the power of 1 by n into 1 plus KE 0.12, 12% is our cost of capital, minus 1 percentage. Tick, 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 tick. You can see here we got literally the same answer, literally the same answer including decimal. See, 18.43, 18.43 in both the cases. See, here also 18.43, here also 18.43. Let me just zoom it out a little bit so that you guys can see, or let me switch to full screen. Yeah, you can see 18.43 using manual method, 18.43 using the formula. You'll get the same answer because it's just derivation of that, right? Chalo. So with that, I'll wind up MIRR. See you soon in the next lecture. Until then, keep smiling. Take care. Bye-bye.